Brother Jerry.
Yes, sir.
Greetings to you.
Good evening.
Good evening. You are one of the very few people that first attempt you arrive in the studio.
Old men better early than on time.
But I mean, in terms of this technology platform, we have had to struggle every now and then to get people into the studio because maybe the equipment is not well set. Maybe they have not downloaded the app. So you seem to have got everything right. But I'm glad to have you here. Greetings, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Dr. Songela should join us. I've invited her as well to come to the studio site.
Okay.
But we are live already. The moment you get onto the studio, even though you hear the music in the background, anybody else that is tuning in can hear us.
Oh, all right.
Yes. So yeah, we can engage with the listeners. I'm just gonna type in here to say we welcome everybody.
Okay.
Otherwise, how have you been coping with the pressures of the COVID-19?
I have made up my mind that I am going to be raising my hand up after COVID and say, count me in. I am here.
Yeah, yeah.
I am here.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
These have been difficult times indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. The unpredictability is the most difficult aspect of it.
Yeah. An invisible enemy indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ducking and diving. It's the whole issue of its random selection. It's absolutely random selection.
Yeah. And we don't know how that works.
Yeah.
It might just hit you at an unexpected time.
Yes. I have taken my vaccinations.
Yes.
I'd rather err on the side of caution. If I'm wrong, tough. But I've taken it. Yeah.
No, I took my first shot as well. So I'm waiting for my second shot.
The first shot felt like they put an iron in my arm. The second shot, nothing.
Yeah.
But that's for me. I'm speaking for me.
Yeah.
The thing is, those of us who've had no issues are quiet. Those who've had issues want to tell their whole world.
Their experiences, eh?
Yeah. And to say to people, don't do it. And then, if the demise of death comes in, Ramaphosa is guilty, whereas they refuse to take the vaccination. So, I don't know. Human beings.
And that's human beings for you.
Yes, sir.
I see Dr. Sengel, I think, is in. If you can hear us, I am trying to move you over to to the studio side, the speaker side. I'm not sure why you're landing on the listener side.
Oh.
That's Dr. Songwell, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Just look at the email or the code that she's identified with. I think Maynard is in. Maynard, welcome. Yeah, this is the platform, Jerry, that we host every Saturday, and people come and go at their own time.
Yeah, I'm new on this whole journey, so I am anxious, I am vulnerable, but I'm here.
Wonderful, you're welcome. Welcome. We're gonna give you the opportunity to present yourselves, and we will be there to hold you, to create a space for you to feel home.
Yeah, Umbusi has been a champion. She's been very good to me, taking my hand as I crawl along.
Yeah, that's wonderful. She did tell me about it. And that is really the whole spirit of our. This is one of the most light-hearted sessions we run. We less formal, engaging. It's our space to be vulnerable as coaches without being worried about anything. And we are also joined by people who are not necessarily coaches, but very interested in coaching, or people that might be in a coaching program themselves, or they might be studying to become coaches.
Yeah.
You can call it a peer counseling or peer supervision or collective learning, whatever you want to call it. But it is a network of professional and executive coaches. So we hope more and more people can be invited. There's unlimited number of people that can be on the platform.
Iron sharpens iron, guys.
Exactly.
Hey.
So if you don't mind, we give them up to 6:15, and then we can start. So I'll just see who will come in. Otherwise, you and I will indulge this side of the platform, and I will just lead a conversation, and we invite people to drop messages in the chat box. Can you see the chat box?
Throwing me into the deep end.
Yeah. I will do a lot of talking. Don't worry. You'll just it's like sitting in the front seat. You have the opportunity of being in the front seat in the theater, even though you're not the player.
So I enjoy some of the light of the actors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm encouraging the guests to drop messages in the chat box, because that's how we engage with each other. Because they can only hear us, but they can't talk to us unless you are in the speaker's platform.
Media platforms are intimidating, though.
They are, yeah? But why?
No, people are hearing your voice and you're busy asking yourself, I hope I'm not making a fool of myself. And, you know, like an actor, you can't play a role and then be judging the actor. You're confusing everybody.
I, from a coaching experience, I find that one of the difficulties we have to make people to overcome is this tendency of self-judging.
Yeah.
It is the biggest handicap of development.
Yeah.
And I must tell you, I took a long look at it, and I challenged myself for a very long time until I've actually, after doing many recording of my own sessions and talking into the mirror and listening to my podcast after the sessions, then I realized, no, man, you know, you must just forget about this. At the moment you occupy the stage or you're on the front line, you must understand that everybody's interested to know how good you did.
Yes. And you cannot be on stage and give away your power.
No.
You can't.
You can't do that.
No.
That's a lost opportunity already there.
Yes. And we don't want an Hashem in front of us.
Yeah. So I always say, just imagine, I mean, everybody's saying, but if Jerry can be called forward onto the stage in front of these many people who have filled the hall, he must be something special. And then they want to find out what is it that makes you that special. And therefore you must just give it.
Number one ingredient, confidence. That's it. I say to actors, listen, if you make a mistake on stage, whatever you're going to do, make it look like it was the original idea. Don't tell people that it's plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 minutes to go, Jerry. Give me a few minutes to just quickly freshen up, and then, just 2 minutes, I'll be back.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the music in the meantime.
Yep.
Okay, I'm back. So I guess I think we can start because we have at least two colleagues with us and others will join us. This is the nature of the show. People come in and go at their own time. So you will be my special guest today, Jerry. Um, I will induct you into our show. Thank you very much. Colleagues, welcome. This is our weekly professional and executive coaches network. That's not to suggest that anyone who calls themselves anything else in coaching doesn't suggest that they are not welcome. It is just the branding of the show. There are many coaches out there. We have life coaches, we have NLP coaches, we have youth development coaches. In fact, this was our topic last week, wherein we looked into variety of coaching as people package them. The fundamentals and the principles of coaching are the same. So this show is brought to you by Commercial Global Online Channels. We are the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. We are established on the concept, or according to the concept called the idea, which is an acronym for we inform and entertain, we develop and educate, we empower and support, we associate and network. That is the idea. My name is Sam Zima. I am a qualified coach and I am professionally certified coach, PCC, with the International Coaching Federation, the ICF. I have been coaching for more than 10 years now, having started in April 2010. During that period, I have coached many specialists, managers, general managers, directors, executives, either in teams or individually, in both public and private sector. I have qualified in postgraduate diploma in practitioner coaching with the coaching center in Cape Town. I am a graduate of BCom in transport economics and business management at the University of South Africa. I'm currently pursuing my master's in executive coaching with Ashridge Executive Coach. I'm an executive education in the UK, which is a unit of Hart International Business School. Done my first year, and I'm now pursuing my accreditation with the European Mentors and Coaches Council, which is part of the program. And thereafter, I will hopefully then go back and do my second year of my master's in executive business coaching. In the 10 years, I actually checked on the 15th of June 2021, my logbook. I realized that I had almost covered 1,237 coaching sessions, mostly of 2 hours each, covering 2,327.30 hours. That put me on the journey towards my MCC, the Master in Certified Coaching with the ICF, which will be my next focus post my accreditation with EMCC and my second year with Ashridge. That's who I am. I have in the studio here Jerry. Mufugeng was invited by our colleague, Dr. Songelo. I can see, Dr. Songelo, you are here. I need to bring you over to our studio side, if you don't mind. I'm trying to do that right now. Hopefully you are able to come over that side. Jerry, I'm going to give you opportunity to just tell the people who you are, why coaching, and what you hope to gain from today's session. But let me first read what we call our coaching pledge at the show. We have about 12-point pledge that we read, and I'm going to read it for you. Number one is about relevance. As coaches, we do not only require technical knowledge to be successful, we must be relevant to the times we find ourselves in. Number two is commitment to change. We must have conviction and commitment to contribute to change in the coaching sector itself. We cannot expect our clients to transform if we ourselves have not transformed in line with the markets our clients operate in. Number three is about context. Coaching is always applied in a particular context, either that of the client, the sector, or the society. Our country, like all other countries of the world, is constantly undergoing change. We coaches are the first line of contact in facilitating that change. Number four, it's about transformation imperatives. We cannot pretend that we are not affected by the transformation imperatives around us. Number five, it's about responsibility. We carry huge responsibility in supporting or facilitating change that our clients are expected to effect at their workplaces. That is what they pay us for. Number six, about authenticity. We are authentic in relating to and serving our clients. We are true to ourselves, and our clients can trust us. Number seven is about affiliation. Whereas coaching is not regulated, we value the membership of reputable coaching federations, local or international. We believe in being part of a local and global community of coaches, both as individual coaches and coaching enterprises and companies. Number eight is about ethics. We commit to adhere to the ethical code of conduct of the coaching federations we belong to. Number nine is about professional conduct. We conduct our coaching practices and operations in a professional manner. Number 10 is about value for money. We guarantee our clients value for the money they pay for the coaching services delivered by us and our associates. Number 11 is about own development. We pledge to engage on our own continuous professional development, being in touch with developments in the coaching sector, keeping up with the trends and adjusting our practices for benefit of our clients and other stakeholders. Lastly, number 12 is about empowering clients. We pledge to put the interests of our clients before all other interests, except in cases where such interests may be against ethical practices or laws of our countries. That's our pledge, Jerry. I hope it says something to you.
All right.
Yeah. And let's give you the opportunity to just introduce yourself, Jerry, and share with us why the interest in coaching.
Ndate, thank you very, very much. And colleagues who are listening in and supporting, thank you for giving me this opportunity to just open my vocal cords and make myself vulnerable here. I just listened to that list and I shiver.
The list of approaches.
However, I must say one of the things that made me to sign up for a credible coaching course is because I refuse to be a fly-by-night coach. I refuse to be associated with anything and anyone that could be characterized in that manner. My name is Jerry Mufukeng Wamacheta, and many people know me as a legend of theater and film. And yes, I am that. But you see, many a time when you are that so-called legend, people everywhere you go are gullible. Apologies if that sounds patronizing, but people just give you the microphone because they assume that you know. And my goal is that when they do give me the mic, I should be knowing. Now, I have been a teacher, and especially in the field of directing is the one I will quote. I train directors, and my way of doing it is to say I don't want people to be mini Jerrys. I want them to find their own signatures, which is an attitude that I bring to coaching, that I'm not wanting to make people mini me's. I want them to be the best of themselves. 2, I have been doing counseling, and somehow I've been revolutionized in the past 4 weeks because I don't want to take too much of your time, Dati, but there is a
take your time.
tendency
It
for
is you and
people
me.
to
It is
dwell.
only you and me. It is only you and me in the studio, so we are keeping our listeners entertained. So we have a whole time, and we really want to hear your story.
Okay. Counseling. There is a picture that I give people quite a lot, and the picture is this. When you are driving, you have a rear view mirror that tells you where you have been. But it's a problem if I was talking to somebody on driving to Zanin yesterday, and I was in Polokwane, and I said, if I see Pretoria in my mirror and I'm already in Polokwane, there is a problem. Serious one. And people build castles around their wounds, their betrayals, and so on, and they just cannot go forward. And that's the issue with the rear view mirror. And then there are side view mirrors that tell you where you are. And next to those two is the windshield. The windshield tells you where you're going, and it is the biggest of all these 3 elements I'm talking about. And what has attracted me to coaching is the focus on the windshield, on what can be achieved when you have helped me to know the gold in me that has always been there. I just wasn't aware of it, or I have been shortchanging myself with some reasons or the other, and I could not be the best of me. And so I have done counseling, and coaching has revolutionized my point of view. Many a time people have called me a motivational speaker, and the truth of the matter that there is, it's a performance. And I can pick up a few quotable quotes and get a standing ovation. The question is, and I apologize, I don't mean to be standing here to say rah, rah, rah about coaching as though these other disciplines have no place in our lives. But here's the thing. After 3 months, somebody said, no, after 3 weeks. After 3 months, the balloon is up. The quotable quotes are not taking me anywhere. And so I am where I am today, really, allow me to say in biblical terms, a disciple of coaching. And
Wow.
I've had my fuses blown in the 3 days I have had my first extensive lectures, training, and all that went on. So
Wow.
I know I am not yet a coach, but I already have the heart and the spirit of a coach.
So this is beautiful, Jerry. So you are transitioning from counseling into coaching, or you
Yes, sir.
probably will be able to play both roles.
Yes, if necessary.
Yes, and tell me, was it well clearly explained to you the difference between the two during your coaching course?
I'm still working my way through. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to read to you what I wrote 2 nights ago about what I believe coaching is. And it's not refined. It's nowhere refined. But to me, coaching is a process. It's a process where a professional facilitates self or group discovery and a journey to personal or group excellence. Full stop.
Beautiful. I'm glad, and put it in bracket by Jerry Mufokeng. So we continue. Let me also add and give you my own, because I've also had to write my own definition, because they are, at the end of the day, the fundamentals and the principles are there in your definition. And thank you very much for making an effort to define it, because the whole idea here is to make it clear for people to understand that all these are related helping professions that are not the same.
Yes.
So coaching, counseling, training, mentoring, motivational speaking, advisor, they are all helping professions.
Yes.
But coaching is very distinct from any of them. Not that it's the only one that you should have. You can have all of them, but you understand. I like the way you define that coaching is about looking forward. I've put together my own definition here, and maybe you can have a look at that and tell me if it says something to you. Coaching is a development intervention in which the coach becomes the thinking partner of the client and facilitates the process of self-discovery, self-awareness, and individual capacity development to successfully deal with the growth and development challenges in personal and professional life.
I am so proud that some of my words are in your definition, and I'm hardly 10 weeks. You are more than 10 years.
Exactly. That's exactly what we say, that people should not be intimidated by the various exit points that people come out. And I purposefully use the exit point because the fact that somebody, like I started by going for a postgraduate diploma in practitioner coaching. That is a type of a training that is very much based on me doing practice and theory at the same time.
Yes.
And then I decided to continue to go and again do the masters and everything. But there are those who go straight into masters and they exit out of masters but they may not necessarily have the hours of coaching, but but the fundamentals and the principles that you learn in your course that you are doing now, Jerry, and the ones that I learned at my postgraduate and masters, they are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? It's just that maybe at each of the level you take it to a notch high up. But coaching at the end of the day is a practitioner profession. If you don't practice, if you don't coach, you might be having all those degrees and then it means nothing.
Ndate,
So
here's
decide.
where the difference lies for me. It's the difference between an MFA and an MFA. MA and MFA. MA, you do the classes, you do the theories, you do the courses, you write a thesis, you pass.
Yes.
But with an MFA, you do the theory that supports the practice. And when you get to the other side, you know what you're talking about. You have done it, you have failed, you know what to do and what not to do.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
That's what it is for me.
Absolutely. And one of the intentions of this platform is to make sure that we have as many people as possible who are professionals in their own right, their own qualifications, to consider transitioning into coaching, because there is a high need of coaches. And I'm very glad that I look on the panel here. I mean, I have you are a man, I'm a man, and we have Ndatira Mutla here, and we've got Maynard. Why I'm mentioning that, and then of course we have our sister. Why I'm mentioning this is there's a highest shortage of male coaches globally.
Really?
Did you know that? Yes.
Really?
Globally.
Wow.
And there is absolute necessity to encourage men, those who professionals out there, to really consider going into coaching. And it doesn't mean that you drop doing what you used to do, because there's what we call perspective. And that's why I still want you to tell us about your background in detail, because when you go into a coaching training, and this was quite very fascinating because I coached before I went into a proper formal coaching. When I got there, I was very ready to be trained to become a coach so that I can go and fix other people out there through my coaching. My lecturer says, that's not coaching. That thinking you have is wrong. We're going to work on you. You first have to work on yourself before you can go and help others.
Yeah.
And then they say, we are interested in your perspective.
Yeah.
Which is basically to say who you are up to where you are now. Your journey that you have traveled. The cultural background you come from. The things you have done before. The messages that you have grown up hearing.
Yes.
The failures and successes in life, your qualifications, all those put together into one big pot. That's what we're going to work on until you have unpacked that and you have understood who you are, who contributed to who you are, why do you have the type of a thinking you have.
Yes.
Then we can really move forward in preparing you to coach others, because coaching is a partnership. When you are sitting in front of your client, you and your client are equal. And what you bring to the platform and what the clients bring to the platform, you put together, they bake something that is beneficial to the client.
I like partnership. I like that word, partnership.
Absolutely. And you need to be able, when a client says something in front of you and it does something into your system, you need to be able to feel it and experience it and share it with the client and say to the client, what you have just said has evoked certain emotions in me. I wonder if you want to tell me a little bit more. What is it that makes me feel the way I feel? Or just as a feedback, this is how I feel about it. So that is really partner. But let's hold it there and let's not rush, because I really want us there's something in coaching we call check-in. And part of check-in, if you are meeting for the first time, is actually knowing each other. And that is, as I shared with you now, and then we are going to use you as an example, Jerry. We are in a coaching session. I'm meeting you for the first time. I really want to get your perspective. Let's start from there, childhood, to where you are now, so that I can be able to understand you, Jerry, my client, if you were to be my client.
All right. You're very fortunate because I've written a book which is coming out on the 30th of September. So you'll have 250 pages of this. However, let's do this for now.
Wow. I look forward to that book. Yeah.
I was born, sure. My name is Jerry Mufokeng Wamakhetha.
Yeah.
And it's not fashion, the artists that I have that name. My mother, a Miss Majoro, was married into Mufokeng family. And something happened that she met with Mr. Makhetha when she was Mrs. Mufokeng. And I was conceived.
Mm.
The world uses the word illegitimate.
Mm.
The Bible tells me God knew me before they met.
Mm.
So I have a purpose in this world, in this life. So I'm just saying, somebody said to me about 5 years back, what happened to your eye, blah, 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 blah. And can I pray for you? I said, no, you can't. You can't change my history. You can't change my face. You can't change you're messing up with my brand. Leave me as I am. So I was born a Mosotho. I was born in Soweto, and I went to live in Lesotho, and I know what poverty is. If those who are listening know what it's like to eat mabele pap 2 or 3 days after it was cooked, it is a stone.
Malata.
Ntate, I crossed rivers to go and get animals. My feet were scarred and oozing blood from the cold, the bite of the winter water. So I know suffering. I know what it means to be poor. And my grandmother had favoritism, so my Rachadi's child was the favorite, and when I fought for my rights, she spit in my face. And I'm mentioning that so that you understand the scars, the whatever that informs the person in front of you or in your instruments today. At the age of 10, 11, I came back from Lesotho and I came back to Gauteng, and I was laughed at because I sounded like Pari Etswanko Lesotho. And I grew up, and in 1970, in the month of April, I lost sight in my right eye. And so I have been living with one eye all these years. All these years. I think it's 51 years when you count it all. And then I was a shy boy. When in high school, I joined a debating team. My brother says to me, oh, it shows how bankrupt the schools are these days. You in the debating team. And yet I grew out of that, joining a youth group in Dube, Soweto, and that's where I found my talent as an actor and my facility with words and so on. And so in 1980, I got married. In 1983, I went to study at Wits. And 86, I applied for a Fulbright and I got it. And then Peter Brook, whom you might consider the bishop of theater, came to audition in South Africa. And I got into his play. I was going to live in Paris for 9 years and tour the world for 1.5 years. I went for counseling, and my counselor, Caesar Mulebati, says to me, Jerry, you will come back with one very interesting, very powerful line in your CV, but you'll have to audition for the rest of your life. Whereas if you get a Fulbright scholarship and you get a master's from Columbia University, you will own your destiny. And I chose to go to Columbia University. I'm skipping so many things, but I came back 91 to teach at Wits, went to civic theater, went to work in government in Mpumalanga, and I am where I am because I believe in integrity. One of the things people know me by, I say, you may be a star, but stars expire. You must be an artist. Then you've got longevity in what you do. And one of the serious elements that I advocate is integrity. In everything that we do, integrity. And so what do I bring to coaching? I guess one of the things that I bring, being 65 in April this year, I have lived. I have lived. There are things that are not theory when I talk about I have lived. In the last chapter of my book, I write, I have lived, I have died. I know who I am and who I'm not. I know what I am and what I am not. I have lived and I have died and I'm alive today. So I bring life experience. I bring training in counseling.
That is for you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
I bring that experience in counseling that has taught me to listen and hear.
Wow. You know, Jerry, you just make me feel like, how much, so the way I so much want so many people to come into coaching because of the rich perspectives that people of this country and this continent have. You have just demonstrated that because you are bringing something into coaching that is actually shaped you and if you understand the concept of perspective, and I want to hold it there because I'm sure you're going to be our regular on this platform, we are going to explore this perspective together, and we're going to inspire many others to want to become coaches. Yeah. And that's the whole idea. And if as you heard me introducing myself, I did not tell you a little bit about my own perspective, which is coming from corporate, coming from a deep rural Kukune into Gauteng, and then obviously overseas, and then having to go through the struggles of building a career as a black young professional in corporate South Africa to where we are now. So we have all of us, including my colleagues on the listening here, we all have such rich, beautiful perspective that our young people and every South African will want to hear. And then when you tell that perspective, we are not making you shine, and we are not making you to become egoistic. We are saying there is a story, and the Africans thrive on stories, and that story is what we call perspective in coaching. If you get that right, and I think you've got it right in your book, you're ready now to go into a next stage of your coaching, which is to then define, if it was a coaching program and a coaching session, you then define your purpose. And I heard you talking about your purpose. And I'm watching time because at top of the hour, we are going to move into the LEKGOTLA team coaching, the LEKGOTLA way, which is the African methodology of engagement, which is also a perspective of Africans as a society. Yeah. So I heard you talking about your purpose. And then once we have defined your purpose in this coaching journey you are embarking in, which is the same thing you will do in a coaching session, where you want your client to tell you where they want you to help them go to. Coming back to your analogy of a travel from here to Polokwane, yeah? We will then work together to really entrench ourselves in the actual process of coaching, which is the actual mechanics of coaching, which is what many people refer to as coaching. And I always say that coaching has got these three pillars. There's a perspective, that's who you are and what your client is. The second one is the purpose, where you are going to together with your client. And then the journey of a coaching session, which is the process in the matter. And we'll get to that point when you are going through that. But thank you so much. Do you want to just share with us quickly the type of a coaching program you are undergoing and what you want to achieve with it, and then ultimately your purpose, and then top of the hour, we'll take it to the next level. We will have to read your book, by the way.
Yeah, it's in print. I can't change a word. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm training with Dr. Mongezi Makalima.
Oh yes, my friend. I know him.
Yes. And Sis Mvusi there is with me, and 3 others. There's just 5 of us.
Wow.
And that is the program. I guess, don't ask me too much. I'm just at the beginning.
Wonderful.
And people are asking me, what kind of coach? I say, I don't know. I don't know. If I were to take a chance, I would say I'm a life coach. That's it. But, don't try and put me in a corner. That's it.
You have a good mentor coach there, and a trainer in Dr. Makalima. I know the type of work he's doing, so good choice.
Thank you. That's yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Coming from you, it gives me confidence in that day, because
Yeah. Now him and I, we come a long way. We were colleagues at some stage at the APSA, and we all went into coaching, and so yeah, I know exactly what you're going to get there. Great stuff. So we welcome you, and we look forward to engage with you regularly on this platform. I have some few points that Dr. Songelo wanted us to address. I'm going to look at those points before I go on to the theme of the LEKGOTLA. She says that there is an expectation from the clients to be spoken to. I also get tempted to lean onto the motivational speaker crutch when insecure in the coaching process. Please advise. So my fellow coaches that normally are with me on the platform are not here, so I will tackle it. Otherwise, I will have asked them to go at it. When you are with your client, it's always very interesting that you start the session by checking in. Normally, you can either check in with a little story, and that's, by the way, that is both the client and the coach. We use the word client preferably because once you say coach and coachee, then people get reminded of a mentor-mentee. Where the mentor is always somebody who's a little bit more advanced and even maybe a little bit more experienced and older than the mentee, and he's going to show a mentee how it's best done. So in coaching, although we do use the word coachee, it's acceptable, but preferably not, because the client, the coachee is your client, or maybe his or her company is a client because they are paying for them, then it's become a three-party relationship. But even in a three-party relationship, it's a coach versus together with the two clients, the other being a sponsor client and the other one be the actual client, the person that you are coaching.
Yeah.
Now, you must always make sure that your client doesn't feel like you are the boss or you are the senior or you are better at what they are doing, because they're coming to you to tell you the challenges that they are facing, and they are expecting coaching to assist them, right? Now, this is what Dr. Zongela is talking about, tends to become the issue. They tend to be brought forward when they haven't yet experienced what coaching is, where they will want you to speak to them. You are not supposed.
Exactly.
You are not supposed.
People want to be spoon-fed.
But here we are partners, and the focus is the client, the coachee. And you as a coach, you are actually facilitating the process of them digging deep inside them to look for answers.
Can I ask for a second there?
Yeah.
I think what she is asking about is especially where you're dealing with a group and the group has booked you and they expect you to just almost motivate them and come with wisdom instead of being their partner on a journey. And that is where it's a problem.
Then that will not be a coaching. That will be a motivational speaking or presentation. In coaching, we engage and you ask pertinent questions. The first thing you check in, and then you ask them, what is the issue at the head? And they tell you the issues, and they say, okay, what do you want to achieve from this session today? This issue. They might say, I'm not sure if I understand these issues well. Yeah. And then I want you to help me to understand the issues better. Maybe that is what they want to achieve on that day. Or they understand what their shortfalls are, and they want you to help them figure out how to address their shortfalls. That become your objective for the session. Yeah. So now, then it's important for you to engage with them, not to speak to them, and give them space to think together with you as to what the actually solution is. So they are going to work in the session. They're not going to sit there and just receive your presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying makes sense to me. But people on a factory floor do not expect you to go and ask them questions. They expect you to go and give them wisdom. And when it gets pear-shaped, that's when you're tempted to then motivate.
But that is why you are undergoing coaching, Jerry, to be able not to fall for such things and then call them coaching, because that wouldn't be coaching.
Yes.
Then you will not benefit from the power of coaching. The power of coaching is you keep on focusing. That's why there are also coaching models to guide you. The first thing is that you need to agree on what you want this coaching to deliver. If I use one of the famous coaching models, everybody in the world uses it, the GROW model. Yeah. GROW, goal.
Yeah.
The first thing is to first end every session. The GROW model is the GROW. Okay.
Yeah.
The first thing you need to establish once you have finished checking in and you are going into the coaching conversation, which is the next stage of your coaching session, is to establish the goal. What is it that you want this session today to achieve for you? Yeah. And make sure that you and the client understand that that goal is nicely formulated and is clear in terms of what it is that we want to achieve. You might even say, how will you know if we achieve this goal? And then you might say that if I feel better. Yeah. Yeah. The next thing is Then the R is for the reality or the context or the situation in perspective. What is
The
currently at
prevailing
play here?
circumstances.
Yeah, what is at play currently?
Yes.
The person might say that, I feel I don't have confidence when I'm confronted with my fellow colleagues. I don't feel energy, drive to do things. I think my environment is very complex. So, in other ways, they need to define the context for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the circumstances that leads to them having this discomfort in them. Because when people come for coaching, it's because there are certain things they want you to address, or they might feel that I'm not competent enough to tackle the job as it's put forward to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they must define that. And then once you have then agreed and they've painted the situation to you, and you both understand and agree, no, this is it. This is the situation. This is really something that you need to deal with. You can't walk away from it. You have to arrive at that place every day to to do the work. And then you must then take them to the next level, which is the O, options. Do we have any option? Are there options? Let's explore various options available to you. And then you are asking them, what are the options given to you? And then they might say the option is, if I'm not going to get it, I maybe may want to be pushed to another role or transferred out. Or maybe I need to go on training to acquire more knowledge. Or maybe I need to get a mentor. Remember, coaching is not going to deliver those. There is the options and the alternatives and the interventions that are going to be discovered out of coaching that will then plug into the process of addressing the gaps.
Yes.
Yeah. You must never fall into a trap of clients saying that because you through coaching you are going to make me to become a better performer. Yes, we are going to make you to become a better performer, but you are going to discover the interventions through coaching that you need to do for you to be able to become a better performer.
Yeah.
That's why we say that the real impact of coaching happens in between sessions. So if your clients are not prepared to go and do work after the coaching session, they are never going to move forward. You need to hold them accountable to do something about the problems that they brought forward. You might say, okay, what are you going to do about it? That is now the W, which is the will, the last weight W in the model group is called will. Basically, it says, now that we have explored various options, what are you going to do about it? You want them to commit to action. Don't say, no, I'll send you a book to read and I'll send you the slides. No. They must commit to something themselves.
Yeah.
You might recommend a book to read, but they need to commit to action. I always say that any coaching session that does not have action in between, you might coach until you grow blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a model that you can use to orient. Does it make sense, Jerry? How we can differentiate it from motivational speaking and advisory and consulting?
It absolutely makes sense to me. I was sensitized to it. I still need to see it in practice in my own situation.
Okay.
But the temptation is there, honestly speaking, to lean on the crutch of motivational speaking because the client, more often than not, is not knowledgeable of this particular methodology of intervention.
Yes, that's why when you in the early stages of taking up a client, you always must insist on having a chemistry session, which is also is part of finding out how knowledgeable they are about the difference between the two, and then maybe do a little bit of educating before you start with the session to say that this is what coaching is and this is what coaching is not. Because you don't want them to do, because you will find yourself trapped in a situation where the expectations they have is not what you have.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the session, of the 3 months or 6 months session, then they say that no, your coaching hasn't delivered for them. That means you contracted wrongly. And you're right, it will come with training and practice.
Absolutely.
But the awareness is important, that you must always know that you as a coach, you are not there to deliver results. To deliver answers.
Yes.
You are there to facilitate the process of finding answers. And we always say that there's nothing wrong with the client. The client is okay as they are. And it's important for the clients to know that the answers are within them. They are the one who understand their situation and their work. That's why you can coach anybody. It doesn't matter. You don't have to become a medical doctor to coach a medical doctor. As long as you apply the principles of coaching and keep on asking them penetrating questions, keep them on repeating their own situation and ask them, how does it feel now you now being made to relate the story to me again and again and again? And then they'll say, hey, the more I tell this story, man, the more I own it. You say, aha, that's what I want you to do.
Sure. Thank you for that answer to that question.
The chat box to sort of thing. Yeah. So Jerry, I'm just asking the colleagues on the listener side that if they want to drop any comments, they are welcome to do so.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think I understand now where you are on your journey. It's wonderful. It gives some clarity to me. So at least I know how we can help you through this platform. I wanted today to introduce to the listeners how we use the LEKGOTLA methodology to do team coaching. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with the LEKGOTLA.
None at all, zero.
Okay. What would you like us to focus on? I don't want, if we are not ready to move there, I'm comfortable with us staying on answering some of the questions. So that was to be spoken to. I hope I have addressed it, Vuzi, if you are listening. And then she then says, share experiences of how you positioned yourselves as coaches in the market. Any obvious tips, especially with all the online competition at this moment? That's a big question. I think this comes from the point of view that as coaches, we are business people, Jerry?
Yeah. No, we're not entertaining.
We are in it for business.
Yes. Yeah, it's not recreation.
Exactly. And it is there to address serious issues of development that people are prepared to invest in them to address those gaps. Now, I guess we are different, if I may, to answer this. And everybody has got different style of positioning their coaching. I position my coaching through platforms like this because they speak to my value system. And my value system is that at some stage in my life when I was still in corporate, I've had to answer the question that has to do with what I'm about. What is my life purpose, and what do I want to achieve in life? What do I want to leave behind? And then I realized that for one to achieve one's purpose, one cannot only be focused on the bottom line. Yes, you will make money through your expertise, through your interventions, but at the end of the day, you must have a bigger purpose that you are always going to take care of. And this bigger purpose of yours must not be in conflict with the things you do day to day. And then I thought that as I develop my coaching practice, I must always have an aspect of my coaching life that has to do with me giving to the society. And therefore, I decided that the technology platforms and the social media platforms is going to be the place where I share with the universe the bit of myself. And in doing that, as I empower people, those who really want to go a little bit deeper with coaching with me, they will then contact me and say, listen, we think your expertise may be wanted in our life in a more contractual manner. As a result, that makes me feel not to be just selfishly making money and not giving back. Hence, the platform like this one is designed for fellow coaches to come on board, and we then collaborate in exchange ideas. And that way, we're empowering each other. If Jerry walks out of this session feeling empowered, he will go and then use that to empower others, either commercially or voluntarily. And that is my way of doing it. Other people's way of doing it is to knock at the doors of companies and drop flyers and say, should you need a coach, give me a call. I will come and do a presentation in front of your procurement committee or your exco to demonstrate how much I know. That is another way of doing it, and that's acceptable. The other way of positioning myself, I love, Dr. Nzongela will tell you, I am a broadcaster on top of me being an executive coach and consultant. So I do online broadcasting. We run our online radio, and we run a podcast live like this, and I do video streaming. And on those platforms, I do produce 5 minutes, 10 minutes videos that are there just to inspire people. And that is also positioning of the coaching. And because coaching is a helping profession, you do it in a way that even that 5 minutes audio that you do must make people inspired and want to do more. Yeah. And the other way of positioning is to give pro bono sessions. You come across people who don't know how coaching works, and they said, we haven't seen this thing and we can't be buying something we don't know. Then you say, okay, that's fine. I'll come and coach you for free of charge for 3 sessions or for 1 session per hour. And then if you like it, then we'll contract. That's also a way of positioning your coaching. The other way of positioning coaching is really a website, or actually your own social media platforms, where you constantly keep on saying something about coaching. Coaching is a very young profession in the form in which it is right now. And yet, at the same time, a very old profession if you go and trace it back into sports. But in the current form, and also with technology platforms coming, it is really accelerating to a highest level. And I think 10 years from now, coaching will be far advanced, integrated into technology platforms. So social media is a powerful way of positioning your coaching to the public.
Well, for me, as an artist, that talks to me, because really, what you post, if you touch a raw nerve, in no time, they're coming back to you.
Yes. Absolutely. So, but at the same time, if you are fully present on the social media platforms, you get to develop your own network of followers. And they get to know your style. And if you err, they know that probably here Jerry was just a little bit not fully attentive, but we know him to be this. So you are able to buy your own insurance by being fully present on social media. But if you visit the social media, it will punish you heavily.
Yes.
You need to be constantly there because your followers need to be served by you. As those you follow also serve you.
Except sometimes I'm dry. I'm speaking for myself.
Of course, you can't always be on top.
Especially Instagram. Instagram, if I don't have a good, nice picture that talks to something, I kind of feel, let me rather not, because, yeah.
Absolutely. But there are some best practices that you can look at. For instance, they say that try to be consistent with your posting to grow that following. These platforms emerged as a hobby, but they have become very much critical and core and central to business today.
Yes.
There are still those who use them for fun. Yes, that's fine. But they are really now the platforms for business. And coaching can benefit a lot from them. And you don't have to be under pressure. You don't have to be under pressure. If you do one posting a week and that is your turnaround time, that's fine. But then let it be that way. Don't jump weeks and without being there. I mean, the social media will embarrass you. It will pop up and say, Jerry has posted for the first time in a while. Because these things are managed by algorithms. And the algorithms study you and they get to know your behavior. And then they put you back to the list because you are one of those who features once in a while. So the algorithm will not bring you to me. But I'm answering the question of positioning. There are many ways of doing it. In terms of maybe population that is not on these platforms, how you position yourself, it still work by email marketing. You have a database, you can go cheap. What do you call this chimp? What email marketing platforms like they call them chimp. That chimpanzee man thing.
Yeah, I don't know
it chimpanzee. Yeah, it's a mass media marketing platform where you do a little flyer, a little story, and then you send it to a list of your contacts. That is also a way you can position it. But because coaching is not known, you would like to be in a situation where you are able to explain to people what it is. Later in the future, we are going to be all the same. It's going to be, the difference is going to be how you actually position you. And this is a very good point and question that Dr. Songola is asking. I hope I've answered all the questions. She said, and any obvious tips, especially with all the online competition at this moment? Yeah. Well, the online, definitely, that's the future.
Can I ask my one question if time allows?
Yeah, sure.
We are a team of coaches wanting to go into our first group coaching on Zoom platform. One of the questions for me is, we don't know each other sufficiently. What criteria do we use to say, you'll do that, you'll do that, you'll do that? Because 2 hours is a long time and nobody can drop the ball in that time.
So you have a group of clients that you are going to coach?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you coaching as a group or are you coaching as individuals?
As a group. In other words, we've just sort of done a program to say this one will be doing checking in, this one will be doing that, and then we'll have a breakaway session, come back, and eventually at the end, checking out. So someone needs to be sort of like program director. Somebody needs to be doing the checking
in. I don't know of that format. I haven't been exposed to it. What I know is when you are doing a team coaching, at least you can have fellow coaches as observers or as a co-coaches, but not necessarily leading the coaching process. And they are there to be able to to observe on your behalf, you, the main coach, so that when you debrief each other, you are able to fit into each other and assist each other in actually getting the best out of the team. Remember, at the end of the day, it's not about you coaches, it's about the coaches. Unless you're talking about learning together rather than coaching together.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Is it learning together or is it coaching clients together?
I think it's we conceptuate as coaching together.
Sorry, I didn't get you there. You're cutting.
Concept, but we're still refining it, honestly speaking. We still need to refine it, honestly speaking.
Yeah, you're cutting, Jerry. I don't know whether it's your network that side.
Yeah, I'm way out in Tsanen. I'm saying we are still refining the concept.
Yeah. No, I have not. To be honest, I have never I've never heard of a concept where group of coaches coach together, group of people, and then they share various roles. One is checking in, one is conducting the coaching conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Look, we'll revisit.
Yeah, no, your network is failing. Your network is failing.
Yeah, I apologize.
Sure. Your network is failing you, Jerry. I don't know whether you want to move around a bit. Okay. Yeah, you might be having challenges with the network there.
Is this better?
But I do get your point. It sounds like you are exploring a very new phenomena there. We look forward to learn from that. Maybe you should actually get it much more described to you, and maybe can bring it the next Saturday. We can talk about it.
Okay. Thank you so much for giving it a listen. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Beautiful stuff. Let me just quickly share with the listeners and you, Jerry, what we have been doing in COMESA since 2017, in as far as LEKGOTLA is concerned. Datera Mutla is on the line and he has experienced LEKGOTLA. So maybe the first thing is just to share with people the LEKGOTLA methodology. And by the way, this is the methodology that we developed further at COMESA, but it is borrowed out of the traditional African LEKGOTLA way of engaging in conversations, dialogues, and holding meetings. What we also did was to look at other common and similar methodologies that are used out there. There are famous methodologies like the World Cafe methodology. There is brainstorming methodology. There is time to think methodology of Nancy Klein. Jerry, we are totally not hearing you. You're cutting. I don't know whether you are hearing me well.
Yeah,
maybe what you can do is to log out and log back in.
Frustrating you with my terrible line.
Come again?
Let me try. I will log out and come back in.
Yeah, I got the point, Jerry. So you can refine your methodology, and maybe then when it's refined, we can discuss it next time, right? Okay. So I'm just proceeding with the introduction of the LEKGOTLA methodology, which was meant to be the theme today, using the LEKGOTLA methodology to conduct team coaching. So I was just giving you the examples of other methodologies that we believe that LEKGOTLA methodology is counted among them. And I said that there is a World Cafe methodology, there is a brainstorming methodology, a time to think methodology, the LEKGOTLA methodology, and many other frameworks out there. Now, we have been using the LEKGOTLA methodology since 2017 to conduct team coaching, to facilitate learning and development sessions, to conduct conversations and dialogues. Now, the word LEKGOTLA is an African word, Spedi specifically. In Setswana, they talk of Gotla, but it's used to describe a meeting of a traditional court or a council meeting or a public meeting. In South Africa, it is very famously used when the cabinet meets and you hear them talking about the cabinet LEKGOTLA. Obviously, I've never been into a cabinet meeting, so I'm not sure whether they adhere to all the traditional principles of LEKGOTLA. But we have developed a manual, and we use this to guide the process of LEKGOTLA. What is quite very clear when you come to our LEKGOTLA is that the arrival at the venue is not just loose. We set up the LEKGOTLA in a way that the LEKGOTLA venue in such a way that when people arrive there, they are encouraged to connect. Now, in coaching, connecting with the clients is the most fundamental thing. You cannot take people into a conversation, coaching conversation, before you have actually connected with them, before you have actually checked in. And if it is the group of people that have already become a natural team, meaning that they've got common objectives that bring them together, then the checking in will be in a form of finding out how they've been since you last met. If it is people attending for the first time, the objective of arrival and checking in is to get to know them, like I've been demonstrating with Jerry here, that you develop interest in people telling their story. And in the LEKGOTLA, there is a way that people introduce themselves, both at the main LEKGOTLA and at the mini LEKGOTLA. Those are the fundamental principles. Then after people have registered, they've networked and they've connected, which we still regard that as informal, we then go into a formal process where we actually induct people into the LEKGOTLA methodology and the framework. And therefore, when you come to our LEKGOTLA, we'll say the LEKGOTLA starts at 10, but we arrive at 9. Or it starts at 9, but we arrive at 8. And we always say to people that don't think that arrival 8 to 9 is not important. It's an opportunity for you to arrive, feel at home, choose a place where you can sit, greet the people, have a cup of coffee, exchange numbers if you have to exchange numbers, chit chat a little bit so that your temperature goes down, and you are not nervous before the formal proceedings happen. Now, coaching is also like that. We build a rapport with the client by so doing. And then we will then go into the proper checking in, as I said, where we talk about the theme, what we are going to be discussing. We also set up in various small LEKGOTLAs, which is basically like a circle, sitting in circles, allocating each other to various mini LEKGOTLAs, where the real conversation is going to take place post the actual presentation. Now, we could invite somebody like Jerry to come and address the main Lekgotla before the mini Lekgotlas take place. Now, the main Lekgotla will be similar to what you will call plenary, a plenary in a traditional meeting setup. We call it the main Lekgotla. That is a forum at which we are going to present the topic for the day. We are going to present the case study for the day, the case for the day, and we're going to invite somebody to start the process by presenting the theme. In other words, present the theme, the matter for the day. And then after that, once people go into the mini Lekgotla, and those mini Lekgotla, then the conversation takes place, which is something that basically what Jerry was talking about. For us, it will be mini Lekgotla. People are split into mini Lekgotlas, and in those mini Lekgotlas, they constitute themselves again into smaller natural teams, where they then follow the same process of connecting, identifying the facilitator and identifying the scribe, and somebody that's going to be working as a rapporteur that is going to report back to the main Lekgotla. Now, in the main Lekgotla, when we come back, is really like what we will call a feedback to the plenary. Now, that sounds very common. That sounds very familiar. Now, there are some principles that needs to be adhered to in the Lekgotla, and those principles are to be addressed. Now, but before you address those principles, it's very important for us to understand why the Lekgotla methodology is so important and what are the objectives of holding meetings and sessions and coaching using this methodology. The first objective is to have order and to assert the chairperson or the facilitator and adherence to the agenda or the business of the day. That's the first objective. The Lekgotla is very good at doing that. The second objective is to make sure that Lekgotla is not just a chit-chat or talking session without any outcome. So it's to reach an outcome and consensus at the end of the meeting. That objective is very important. It's what we adhere to. The third objective is to ensure that all members arrive on time and the time frames for the meetings are adhered to, because it's a structured way of actually team sessions. And that's why when we invite you to the Lekgotla, we will give you the various itineraries, the various components of the Lekgotla. As I've said to you, the fundamental component is the registration and arrival, networking, checking in, the conversations at the main Lekgotla, the conversations at the mini Lekgotla, the conversations back at the main Lekgotla, and checking out. All those, when we run Lekgotla, they are demarcated into time periods. And the pressure is built up because part of the Lekgotla methodology is learning methodology is to put you under pressure and make sure that you stick to times but not drop down any of these objectives and these deliverables. The other objective is in the why we use the Lekgotla methodology is that this is a methodology in the African tradition that is built on the respect for fellow colleagues and fellow team members. So we make you practice this value of when somebody is on the floor, you can't be doing other things or you can't be looking away. You affirm that person by paying attention to that person and even using your body language to say to that person, I'm with you. And that's when people become at their best, when they know that their people are with them. That's why the next objective is to ensure that all members are listened to and that improves the listening skills as well. It's not only about the person that is standing up there presenting a matter or talking to the Lekgotla or mini Lekgotla. It is also designed in such a way that those who are listening, they listen actively and they listen attentively and they are fully present. And then the moderators are observing that and they are able to tell if the people are just there but they are not actively listening. And we will pick it up when the team comes back to the main Lekgotla and present, because we will know that they were never a team in the main Lekgotla. The other objective is to ensure that there are no unnecessary interruptions during the meeting, especially in today's world with so many gadgets around us, so many technologies and so many interruptions that can happen without you even being aware. So the objective of this main Lekgotla and why we structure it the way we structure it is to really win people over. Because if you are going to coach people in a team and they are not fully present and you are not able to get their attention, one member of the team out absent-minded, the team is gone. And one of the other methodologies that we massage our methodology, Lekgotla methodology, with is the Bruce Tuckman team development methodology, which talks about formation, storming, norming, and performing. We always have that in our background to say that you are coaching this team to become a solid team, and therefore you need to be able to know at what stage of Bruce Tuckman team development methodology are they. And we're also able to show you what the behaviors of team members when they are in the formation stage and when they are in the storming stage, and when they are in the norming stage and when they are performing stage. So the listening is one critical component of team coaching. The other objective is to ensure that those members who normally do all the talking are forced to stop doing the talking and to embark on the capacity, on the journey of developing their listening skills. And the Lekgotla methodology forces you to do that, because in Lekgotla, as Ntatera Muta will tell you, you are not allowed to talk unless you have Indugu in your head. And that is a powerful, powerful principle. And that we have seen that transforming people who never stop talking, they become such powerful listeners after they attended Lekgotla 4 or 5 times. And those who which is the next objective, to ensure that those members who hardly speak enhances their talking skills, because sometimes we will go silent and we will say that if you have spoken, you are not allowed to hold into. Only those who have not spoken are given a chance to speak. And sometimes we go dead silent until somebody is brave enough to stand up and take un indugu and talk. And boy, afterwards, when people start to say, phew, I never ever thought in my life that I ever will stand in front of people and talk. This Lekgotla aura has given me that confidence and stand up, go for Indugu. And the moment I had Indugu and I saw everybody turning and looking towards my direction, and then knowing that nobody was going to talk, but only me. And I listened to that little manic man inside me say, go for it, Sam. And then I spoke. And I felt like going into self-judgment to say, that didn't sound well. Maybe somebody is going to say, can you say it again better this time? And nothing said come. I continued talking and they kept quiet and they kept on listening. And until I have spoken and they kept quiet. And then I finished talking, the chairperson holds Ndugu and say, any comments? I'm sitting there wondering and expecting that they're going to take me into pieces, because I must have just made a fool of myself. And when the first person talk, affirming me and say, it was such a beautiful thing to listen to you, Sam, speaking for the first time, and how beautiful and melodious your voice was, and how powerful the messages were coming out of you. Man, you have got it. And then the person now just want to do it time and again and time and again. And as those who have experienced Lekgotla will tell you, the next time round, you see people who never spoke starting to speak and being asserted and affirmed. So that is the power of the LEKGOTLA, and that is the methodology. And that when we integrate it into the team coaching and blend it with models like Bruce Tuckman team development methodology, like Nancy Klein's time to think methodology, like the World Cafe methodology, which is the most closest to our LEKGOTLA methodology, is the World Cafe methodology, because the World Cafe methodology is designed to facilitate big groups sessions. Why they call it World Cafe is that it was started in a cafe where friends come together and they sit at various tables and have coffee. And each table designate one person that is going to remain behind when they change from table to table. If you move from table A, you go to table B, you find that there at table B, a certain member of the former group stays behind. And when you get to that table with other new members, the person who's in that you find in that table tells you what the discussion was with the previous group. And then you continue and you keep on rotating and rotating. At the end of the session, when you have covered all the tables, every one of you have been to a particular table, because each table discusses a particular theme. And then at the end, when you go back to, in our case, it will be a main LEKGOTLA. In the traditional group meetings, it will be a plenary. And then if you have had 10 tables, that means you have got inputs from 10 tables brought together into a plenary, and then the plenary then facilitates a session. In our main LEKGOTLA, we consolidate the inputs. The difference between our LEKGOTLA and World Cafe is our LEKGOTLA focuses on one topic. For instance, on the 14th of August, we're going to spend the whole day on Women Empowerment Network with about 5-6 speakers, all of them focusing on women empowerment, coming from different angles. When we finish that LEKGOTLA, we walk back with a comprehensive insight about what needs to happen to empower women in the various parts of our society. So that is the LEKGOTLA. If you have never experienced it, talk to people like Ndate Ramutla or come to our LEKGOTLA. It's a very, very powerful. And this is the tool that was given to us by our forefathers. This is the African traditional LEKGOTLA. We have just enriched it with these other methodologies and produced a manual, and we're training people. There's nothing we do in LEKGOTLA when it comes to group, in COMESA, when we come to groups and teams, that is not inspired by LEKGOTLA. Blended with the concept of checking in coaching, conversations, and checking out. I will hold it there and maybe ask my brother Jerry to reflect a little bit. And I hope the listeners are also getting inspiration and they can drop points into the chat box. You're back with me, my brother Jerry.
I am here.
Wonderful. Any reflections, any comments?
I think the element of a respect for every voice that is in the group goes a long way, including somewhat a little bit of a push for people to speak, because there are those who like just seconding the motion and they just don't want to speak. And so the way you've described it, it really says you open people's vocal cords, and the more they open their vocal cords, the more confidence, and then the more ownership of everybody's contribution. So, if and when it does happen, it's always magic.
Absolutely. Because, and this is the dynamics of team coaching and the difference between individual coaching and team coaching. And the ICF, if I may bring another angle, the International Coach Federation have just launched their new team coaching competencies. Yeah. And they are built on the original team coaching, the original coaching competencies that any coach must have. Now, what makes team coaching so fashionable and so much wanted by many organizations right now is because of the world that we are in that is becoming so complex that an organization cannot thrive on the few competent people in a team. So you will want to make sure that the team is developing at the same time. And one of the key components of team coaching is that the captain of the team, who in many cases is the manager, he or she needs to be clear in terms of where he or she is taking the team to. Now, when you're coming into a coaching and you are contracting for a team, every individual must understand that it is not about them, but it's about the team. And the alignment of their objectives and that of the team is very important. Let me give you practical example. Let me give you a practical example, Jerry. You are asked to come and offer team coaching to a exco. Now, in many cases, the members of exco are head of the various divisions. Maybe it's a head of marketing, head of finance, head of operations, head of sales, head of tech, IT. Together they make exco. Now, there is a group strategy or corporate strategy that all of them follow. But in following the strategy, they have functional responsibilities that I've just described. The finance manager drives the finance component of that corporate strategy. The marketing manager drives the marketing component of that corporate strategy. The technology guy does that. The manufacturing and the operating does that. But when they are sitting in a meeting as exco, what drives their actions and their behaviors is not the goals of their divisions, but the goals of the group. Now they need to be coached to support the group's objectives, but also be supported to deliver the functional objectives that are subcomponent of the corporate. So therefore, the contracting and the setting of goals for the group is quite more complex. And if they haven't clearly defined it, it's very easy for them just to come there and repeat their own divisional goals and say they are the goals of the group. Meanwhile, they are just mimicking their divisional goals at the platform called EXCO, and the EXCO can never take the company forward because the EXCO is probably driving the strategy into the future, right? But it can't be in conflict with the strategy of the various divisions. Now, that's what makes team coaching complex. You have to make sure that there's an alignment. And these methodologies are very helpful because now you make people to really sweat out until they have really agreed on the direction that they all follow jointly.
But it sounds to me it's more like a strat session, though.
No. I'm just giving it as an example.
Yes. Now the thing is, Askis, I'm bringing my approach. I sit on a council, and it's always everybody. You put your own preference, your own what is in the best interest of this institution. And I mean, I have not done what you're talking about, but I just think that's a similar thing. What is in the best interest of this corporation, not your department?
Absolutely. You can use, actually, we do use the LEKGOTLA methodology to facilitate strategy development sessions as well. And the benefits we get from that is the principles of LEKGOTLA, because what LEKGOTLA does, it brings so much calmness, so much focus, so much productivity so much purposefulness in a team, and the energy vibration just go high. And when people are vibrating at the same energy level, the productivity becomes very high.
Mm-hmm.
And camaraderie also become very high, and it's very enjoyable because everybody knows that they will be given a space to make their input, and everybody knows that nobody will interrupt, and nobody will laugh anybody out for being stupid.
It's a discipline.
It's a discipline.
Major.
But if you go into African traditional Lekgotla at the king's crawl, you never get to find the king being the one talking most, and yet he's chairing the meeting. He's going to come right at the end and say, I've heard you. And this is what I think should be the decision. And especially when they fail to reach a consensus, he will rule. But having listened to all of them, having benefited from everybody's input, and because he is our principal, we always know that he will take the decision that is in the best interest of us all. Or he might say that I'm not ready to take a decision, we'll come back tomorrow. Of course, in business, sometimes we are under pressure to take decisions because time is money. But if the quality of decision is the most important, then these principles, these methodologies become absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Sure. I'm listening to you, and I told you I'm hardly 2 months in all this, so I shudder at the competence that's required of the facilitator in that scenario. That's it.
Yeah. And remember now, there's a competence, as I said, I mean, I'm sharing with you the Lekgotla methodology. I'm not saying Lekgotla methodology is coaching. I'm saying it is a tool you can use to coach teams. But similarly, it's a tool you can use to facilitate strategy session. Similarly, it's a tool you can use to facilitate a conversation where the stakes are high, where the conflict is imminent, where disagreements are at large, where the disrespect is possible, where the disengagement is highly possible. So it is one of the many, and I believe that it can be blended very well with team coaching. Once people have been taken through the methodology and they've understood it, then it becomes, in coaching, we talk about frameworks, we talk about coaching models, we talk about tools, we talk about analogies, methodologies, examples. So all those are really nothing else but the tools that when you become experienced, you can bring them in to facilitate the learning and the development and the solving of the challenges that the client are faced with. But you don't necessarily have to say to the client, I'm now taking you through Lekgotla. I'm now taking you through the No, don't do that. It is not for the clients, it's for you. They must just feel the application of it. Otherwise, you will bore them, they will walk away from you and no, this guy is no. It's like you don't tell people, the doctor doesn't tell you that I'm using this methodology to diagnose you. No, he just diagnose you.
Yeah, they'll say, no, we're not a political party here. Just this is business.
Yeah, but we must also be open to say that there's no best or bad. The main thing is the coaching principles. Make sure that you do coaching, you don't do consulting, you don't do facilitation, you don't do advisory. Right now, in this last part of our conversation, I moved away from coaching. I'm just explaining to you this methodology as a tool that you can take and then apply it as a coach. right?
Yeah.
Great. I think we can check out now. I'm sure you have been exposed to checking out, Jerry. I want you, as part of your practice, I'm going to ask you to check out with 5 points. And don't think too hard about it. Ne? The first point, just tell me what was confirmed by our conversation today. That's the first point. The second point, tell me at what point did you experience aha moment? The third point is what is your takeaway? The fourth point, any new lessons that you made? The fourth point, and the last point, any new behaviors you think you want to demonstrate. I'm going to put you under pressure because the system is going to lock us out in the next 3 minutes. So if you can just rush through it.
Please repeat the questions and then I'll answer them as you say.
What was confirmed for you by this conversation today?
My competence on the media platforms.
Yes. Wow, beautiful. You are comfortable, ne?
I am. I'm not very comfortable with the content, but the platform.
Wonderful. At what point did you experience an aha moment, or was there any aha moment during our conversation? The point at which the penny drops, and then you say, now I get it.
That grow model. That was the aha moment for me.
Yes, wonderful. You can read more about it. You can Google it. It's the most famous model that was established by the founding father of coaching, Sir John Whitmore.
Yeah, it was mentioned in class. I just need to master it now.
Beautiful.
And practice it.
Beautiful. What is your takeaway?
I just need to be patient with myself and grow one step at a time. Platforms like this, there's always something to learn, and I have something to give. You talked about LEKGOTLA. I was shouting at Mvusi saying, you threw me into the deep end. I wanted to be a fly on the wall. And yet, here I am.
The best way of learning.
So you played a LEKGOTLA on me.
Yes, it worked. Yeah. And I wonder if Ntatera Mutla wants to comment. Ntatera Mutla, just drop something in the chat box, just to in terms of LEKGOTLA. And any new lessons, learnings?
I can't pick up one thing. I was just picking. Unfortunately, I didn't write things down. I mean, you talked about idea.
Okay.
You talked about those 10, principles, the points that because I so associate with all of them. Askis, I come from a Christian background. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, and I'm saying, coming from a sort of religious or Christian background, it's you must walk the talk. Then we don't need to be explaining you and excusing you. Those principles, if you live by them, it brings integrity to you and to the practice of coaching.
Absolutely. Any new behavior, new practice going forward from today?
Sure. No, you've blown the fuses as far as group coaching. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm swimming in the deep end, and I'm not sure. I'll work it out with the colleagues.
Wonderful.
But we can't go on as the way we had thought. We have to go back to the drawing board.
I'm glad that it makes you to rethink your methodology, because there's always a space to create new things, and hopefully this will be the ingredients you can consider into your design.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, I enjoyed. I think it's a blessing in disguise that you were the only person in the studio today, Brother James. I really benefited a lot. Thank you so much. I really benefited a lot.
Thank you for opening my voice. And yeah, I feel welcome in the coaching family.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That was great. Thank you so much, colleagues, friends, for tuning in. That was our weekly Saturday Professional and Executive Coaches Network, brought to you by Comesa Global Online Channels. Please don't miss it every Saturday, 1800 hours to 2000 hours, South Africa Standard Time. Thank you. Take care and be safe.